Good morning, everyone. Happy New Year's. We hope that your holiday season and into January has been great. January's went by fast as well. And now we're here to get back started into some safety items, have some good discussion. This year starts to unfold on us. So we thank you for all joining, being able to be here with us as we talk about a few things in relation to hours of service, proper coupling with your truck and your dolly, defensive driving, and then we'll have some updates from Lugmo in regards to FedEx or company updates. Feel free to participate as we go. We definitely like the interaction, the questions. I have Mr. David Jackson here on the call with us. Many years of experience in trucking industry, teacher, very insightful information. So utilize this platform to ask questions, give feedback, things you might be curious about in relation to trucking, or even at FedEx. But like I said, this is a forum to try to get information and help and provide whatever resources we can to make your life a little easier out there on the road, but ultimately just reminders to be safe out there. And our number one priority is for you to return home to your families and safely after every trip. I know some of you guys may do local, some might do, over the road, but nonetheless, this time of year is always concerning just because of different types of weather. From one day to the next, like here in California, right now, we don't get the crazy weather per se, but we do get crazy winds, and very hard to drive and to do a job like trucking, and it's so windy, unpredictable how your truck and trailer might react, how drivers might react. As you go into the north where there's mountains, steep hills, snow and rain and black ice, stuff like that, you have different weather patterns there. Then you get into the south where it could be a little different as well. So it's just knowing where you're headed and where you and your destination, being able to plan out your trips are huge, and being able to really account for many things that may happen to you while you're on the road on a particular trip or particular run. And then also just not getting complacent if you do the same run every week. That can also cause for some issues, especially in your mind. You think, oh, I've dealt with this type of weather, or I've dealt with these type of conditions many times, and then you forget to do the basics. So we'll get more into it. Like I mentioned, we'll talk about hours of service, stuff like that, how important that is to our jobs. Yeah, it could be one of those DOT rules that maybe we may not all agree with, but you look at the spirit of the rule, it's all about rest and avoiding fatigue. So if we keep that in mind, it's to help protect you as a driver versus you just driving until you can't, and then risking yourself in the public. But again, if any questions, feel free to ask those questions. Just unmute yourself, ask the question, and we can get you an answer as quickly as possible. And at this time, we'll turn it over to David.
Good morning, everybody. Hope you had a good holiday. I'm going to start off with something that's not been asked about, but is a concern for me and my company and almost all of every FedEx. I am both vaccinated and boosted. I wear my N95 mask all the time. I try to go to stores and places that I have to go in off hours when there's nobody around, and still I got COVID. This new variant, Omicron, is really bad. Fortunately, though, because I was vaccinated and boosted, it only lasted for about a day and a half, 2 days. It's like a really bad cough, really bad cold. My wife and daughter also, the same thing. We've all been isolated, and still we got it. So I'm asking you to be, especially in Florida, where a lot of the regulations and mandates have been very, very relaxed. You need to be very careful. I had one driver now who has been down for almost 3 weeks. He's not in the hospital, but he's down for 3 weeks with COVID. He was not vaccinated. So all those who tell you that the vaccinations are a waste of time, and they're going to be they're dangerous and all of that. You need to think about that. In the United States alone, we have over 200 million people vaccinated. If there was anything that was really wrong with the vaccination other than personal stuff, they would have been a bigger death toll from the vaccinations or illness from the vaccination. So I'm just asking you to be safe for yourself, for your family, and for everybody that you know, because you can give it to. I mean, when I had it, I isolated, but I didn't even get to see my grandkids. I stopped seeing them because of that. So think about that. It's not just you that's the issue. It's the people around you. Okay. Let's talk about. I'm going to go back again and talk a little bit about professional drivers. Professional drivers are drivers who are expected to be able to respond to almost any situation and to be careful, that knowing that other people are not going to be as careful as they are. In other words, they're going to be cutting in and out. They're going to be cutting you off. They're going to be doing all kinds of crazy things. You as a professional driver are required to anticipate those things and drive as if those things are going to happen. It's very defensive. Okay. I want to familiarize you again with the 5 rules and hours of service. One is the 14-hour rule, which means you cannot work, be on duty, and drive and/or driving or doing anything more than 14 hours in any given period. The 11-hour rule, which is you cannot drive more than 11 hours within that 14 hours. I, as a contractor, tell my drivers that I do not want them driving 11 hours. I want them to drive 10 hours, and that's it. For rest and safety issues. I was the vice chairman and the chairman of the American Truckers Association Accident Review Committee. And quite a few of the accidents statistically happened during the 11th hour. You're really tired and really fatigued, and pushing a little more than that. So I like my drivers to go 9.5, 9 3/4, 10 hours at the most. That 11th hour is very dangerous. So, but that's the rule, 11-hour rule. You must have 10 hours off duty. And that means at least 8 hours in the sleeper and 2 hours off duty in consecutive hours. From the time you start to the time you end, it's got to be 10 consecutive hours. And then at a minimum, the 8-hour rule is you cannot go more than 8 hours without a half an hour break. And especially if you're on electronic logs, you need to understand that doesn't mean 8 hours and 1 second, because these electronic devices record by the second. If you're 8 hours and 1 second, you're in violation. It needs to be 8 hours. At 8 hours, you need to be taking a 30-minute break. And one of the things that I've discovered is that sometimes, because it is a telephone or satellite connection between the log or the machinery in your truck and the recording device, wherever the vendor is, sometimes there's a delay, and they've gone 30 minutes and 10 seconds, and then being in violation because that 10 seconds, the delay between the two, gotta make a difference. So I tell my guys, go 32 minutes just to be safe. And since we've been doing that, there hasn't been anybody who's gone over 8 hours. I would recommend, however, that you go no more than 5 hours before you take that 30-minute break. And that's because you need to take that rest right then. It's a good time to split up your drive time so that you get that break in the middle. Okay. The last one is the 70-hour rule. And that is because FedEx is a 7-day-a-week operation, and you cannot go more than 70 hours in an 8-day period. So in order to, you need to be checking, every time you do your logs, you need to be checking how many hours you have available. If you don't have enough hours after the 70, before the 70-hour rules, then you need to either take a break or get a reset. A reset requires you to be off duty for 34 hours. Now, you can do a 24-hour at home and 10-hour in the sleeper as long as you don't go back on duty if you get back into the truck. So you need that 34-hour to do the reset. Now, you can do that reset at any time during the week. You don't have to wait till you get to 70 hours. You can do it at 50 hours or 40 hours. You can do it any time during the week. And each time you reset, you you now have available to you 70 hours of work. Anybody have any questions on that? Just a review for me, but any questions?
You have any questions? Unmute yourself.
Okay, let's go on to coupling and of the trucks, trailers, and dollies. When you are checking your backing your truck into the trailer, you need to get out and inspect to make sure that the trailer is not too high. I've seen many times where the fifth wheel has gone past the kingpin on the truck because somebody did not check that, and then they had to crank it up to get out, to pull out from underneath it. It's a big problem if you're not checking ahead of time. The recommendation is that you check that the level of the trailer be at the midpoint of your fifth wheel when it is at the loading angle, so that when you do back up underneath the trailer, you pick the trailer up off of the landing gear so that the trailer can adjust to fit into the slot. Your fifth wheel has a wedge to it. That means that the kingpin can go anywhere in that wedge and wind up where it's supposed to go to be locked in. But in order for that to happen, your landing gear on the trailer has to be lifted up so that it's not scraping on the ground. So that's number one. So you check your landing gear to make sure that it's not too high. Then you do your tug test. After you've done that, tug test means you don't put the brakes, you don't connect the air to the trailer. Just pull the tractor forward as hard as you can without actually moving the trailer to make sure that the kingpins are locked. Okay. In terms of the dolly, it's the same thing. When you back underneath the dolly, you got to make sure that the dolly is that the rear trailer is at the midpoint of the fifth wheel on the dolly, so that it lifts the trailer up off the landing gear and locks in. And again, you do the tug test without adding any air to the rear trailer. You pull it to make sure that the kingpin is locked in. Once you've done all your tests and you are ready to go, one of the ways that you can check to see that the kingpins are truly locked is to make a sharp right turn or a left turn, so that the trailer and the tractors form the letter C. What that does is exposes the kingpin so that you can, with a flashlight, check and see that it's locked. Okay, and that's the easiest way, other than trying to, if you're in line going underneath the trailer and going underneath both trailers and with the flashlight. If you make the letter C, then the opening becomes available to you so that you can look at it. I also want you to note that disconnects from from either the trailer or the dolly is a disqualification. You are automatically disqualified from FedEx, even if it happens in the yard. So before you pull out, make sure that you are connected. Okay. Any other questions?
It is I think that if they don't have the chains on, can you clarify on that? If they don't have the chains on, it's also considered a DQ, even when they're moving the dolly only in the yard?
Yes. With pulling the dolly around without the chains on is also a DQ. Driving through the parking lot or through the yard without the seatbelt on is a DQ. Okay, every time you get in the truck, you should have your seatbelt on, and the chains for the dolly need to be connected to either the tractor or the rear trailer.
One chain will be sufficient, or they need to have both chains on? Connect that.
It's not one, both chains. All the tractors should
Okay.
have D-rings. All the tractors should have D-rings on them so that the chains can be attached to the tractor.
On both sides.
Both sides, yes. Not one, but both.
Okay, so we're clear now, everybody, that it's both chains that you need connected, okay? So I know it's cold, so don't do shortcuts. Let's have both chains on at all time, okay?
Okay. Okay, one of the other things that they wanted me to go over to is driving in bad weather and on mountains particularly. You don't have any mountains in Florida. I understand that. But you may be traveling in areas where there are mountains, especially in bad weather. One of the things you need to to check before you go before you go down the mountain is to see if there's a speed limit sign or that it is a deep grade. Even though you have automatic trucks, there is a manual shift in the automatic truck. You can put it in manual and make sure that you're in the right gear to get all the way down the road without having to use your brakes and only having to use your engine brake, the Jake brake. Okay, so be aware of that. Be in the right speed. When you are going down the mountain and it is either snow or rain, you need to make that speed even slower. You want to go down as far as you can. I know, and put your, usually below 35 miles an hour, put your flashers on. If you are below 35 miles an hour, and proceed very, very slowly. Okay? But the biggest thing is making sure you're in the right gear. Now, if you encounter black ice, I've done this before many times with other companies. How do you know that you're on black ice? Because you can't really see it. Sometimes some people say there's a sheen or a shine on the road. Sometimes there's not, depending on the light. But because the RPMs on your tractor all of a sudden go from whatever it is, 12 or 1300 RPMs all the way up to 20 suddenly. What that means is that your wheels are now spinning, and there's no friction between the tires and the road, and your RPMs go up because your engine has a load on it. The first thing you need to do if you are in a manual tractor is to push the clutch in. If you are in an automatic, put the truck in neutral and steer your way out of it. Okay? Usually, I don't know if you know about the laws of physics, but the laws of physics say an object in motion tends to stay in motion in a straight line unless acted upon by an outside force. So if you're headed in a straight line and your RPMs go up, you need to put the truck in neutral. If you don't put the truck in it, and I will explain what happens. What happens is you will have, if you don't put it in neutral, the engine will be pushing the tires on both sides, but you don't have positive traction. So one side is going to spin faster than the other. And when it does, that's going to throw the tractor into a skid sideways. And once you're in that sideways skid, there's not much else you can do. Okay, it's a little late then. You need to be able to, as soon as you feel that, you have about 2 seconds to put it in neutral and steer out of it. Okay? Any other questions?
So when you put it in neutral, do you hit the brakes or you never hit the brakes?
Never hit the brakes. Never hit the brakes. The brakes do the same thing. One side is going to catch faster and harder than the other side. And that's going to throw you off just as much. You never hit the brakes. You just throw it in neutral. Throwing it in neutral disconnects the tires from the engine. And that means that the tires are now free to spin on their own. They're not pushed by anything or retarded by anything. Never put the brakes on the black ice. And because you've disconnected the engine from the drive tires, the truck will automatically slow down. Just from the weight of the tractor, it's going to slow down. So no brakes, truck in neutral. Any other questions?
Awesome. Thank you for the clarification.
Okay. Okay, have a safe month. I'll talk to you probably next month. And if you guys have questions that pop up in your brain before we do that, get a hold of Aaron. And Aaron will contact me, and I can give you information individually or as a group anytime.
Awesome. Thank you.
Okay, safe driving, everybody.
Thanks, David. I'm also going to show you this real quick 12-second video of a trailer losing FedEx truck and trailer. We'll show this really quick. Can you guys see my screen? Let's see, actually.
Yes.
Okay. The disconnect in the middle of the freeway.
We cannot see it now.
Oh, let me see.
Yeah, I can't see it either.
All right, let me go back here. How about now?
Yes.
Oh, damn.
Show it one more time. It's really quick. Somebody recorded this video of FedEx trailer sitting in the middle of the freeway without its tractor and dolly. But just another reminder of proper hooking. I don't know if that driver spun out or not, just how it looks on the freeway, but just another example. Xenia, did you have anything to add or any updates before we close the meeting out?
Yes, when we did the last meeting with FedEx in line haul, they want to remind us, just like they did about the seatbelt, that you need to have it on at all times. If you're out there in the road, you need to have it on. That's no question asked. In the yard, you need to have it on as much as you can, because we know that you are entering and exiting the cabin when you're hooking and unhooking. And so far, we've been able to talk with the camera people about that when you're hooking and unhooking. But if you are going around looking for the trailers, you should have it on. The safety vest in the yard, if you stop on the sideway, on the road, or wherever you are, you need to have the safety vest on as well. Also, they want for you to remember to yield to snowbirds and RVs, because you know that they are in a rush and everybody drives differently, so they are not very patient. So as David says, you are the professional driver, so you are the one who knows how to react and what to do with people that sometimes are impatient or aggressive. Be more defensive and alert when driving in extreme cold weather. And during harsh weather, remember to reduce speed. When it's raining, snow, very foggy, reduce speed, okay? And then for Lugmo Corp, we just want to say thank you so much for this peak season. You guys did an awesome job. You worked very hard. And we just want to say thank you for that. Medical card and license, please have them register in the DMV at least a month in advance, because it takes almost 10 days to First Advantage, 10 to 15 days to First Advantage to put you compliant. The DMV, for some reason, it takes like around 15 days for the DMV to send the information to, I don't know where, that you did and that you register your medical card. So it's a lengthy process. Have it ready ahead of time. Just a reminder that Career Edge trainings needs to be completed before the 15th of each month if you want to qualify for safety bonus mileages. Okay. And then for safety compliance and solution, we have more trainings there. We have more support there for you to answer questions, check those trainings, and please remember to clock in, clock out on timely manners and daily. And the other thing I want to add is not in the agenda. I know it's cold weather. I know that sometimes we want to rush ourselves because it's so cold outside that our fingers hurt. Please don't take shortcuts. And the other thing is, if you need to use the restroom, stop and go to a rest stop or go to a gas station. But do not, under any circumstance, do not pee and drive at the same time. Has been numerous accidents with people peeing while they are driving, and the cameras show that. And imagine, what are we going to say? There's no way we can help you if you do that. So if you feel you need to use the restroom, please stop and do it like everybody else will do it. Don't do it while you're driving, okay? No shortcuts. They always come back and bite you. Thank you so much again for your time. Thank you, Aaron.
All right, thank you, everyone. Have a good one. Talk soon.
All right.
Bye.